Maybe I should just shut up from now on. Maybe I should just keep quiet. Because 2 years ago, I was talking about this. You see, when the pandemic hit and the governments decided that they can keep people safe by preventing them from leaving their homes, I asked the question, can they do this during a heat wave? Because it's still a matter of public health. I, as a doctor, whenever I went to the hospital during a heat wave, I saw that the number of beds would become more and more occupied. Because you had all sorts of elderly people and homeless people getting to the hospital with strokes and various other conditions. And I was asking the question, okay, well, if the idea is to only save one life, like if you can only save one life, surely during a heat wave you can force people to stay indoors? Me and my big mouth. Apparently it's happening in France. Vive la France. Oui, oui, oui. Now, there's also the fact that a lot of people were talking about climate lockdowns and climate refugees. I believe I may be mistaken, but in Canada, you had a climate death. So in other words, imagine CNN, just posting a death counter with people who died because of climate change, and you have the people who died because of heat stroke, and it goes the counter. I mean, that would scare grandma, wouldn't it? And now in France, the government is banning outdoor events. So you're still allowed to travel outside. Although, let's be honest, most people try to avoid traveling during 40 degrees Celsius, at least here in Europe, unless they absolutely have to. But the idea that the government is banning outdoor events from happening is very interesting because it normalizes the idea that the government can ban people from organizing during heat waves. Could also be an interesting aspect if you have a protest. Like imagine this, people are protesting Macron and all of a sudden, oh, there's a heat wave! Oh, heat wave coming! Everyone in your houses, everyone go back to your houses. Meanwhile, I understand air conditioning is also problematic, right? Like air conditioning is also bad for the environment, so go into your house, but no air conditioning. Outdoor public events have been banned in an area of France as a record-breaking heat wave sweeps across Europe. See, the reason that I'm concerned about this, who the fuck organizes an outdoor event during 40 degrees Celsius anyway? Like, it's so freaking hot, you can barely breathe. So, my question, is this legislation really necessary? Like, were people actually organizing events? Or is this just something to normalize the concept that you're not allowed to go outside if the government tells you you're not allowed to? Concerts and large public gatherings have been called off in the Gironde department. Like, again, I don't think that these concerts even exist. And if they do exist, they would probably be during the night or late evening when it's not 40 degrees. Would you go to a concert if it's 40 degrees? No, honestly, answer me. Would you go out there knowing that the sun is like in the Sahara Desert? Probably not. Which is incentivizing the free market to not hold the concerts during the 40 freaking degrees. On Thursday, parts of France hit 40 degrees earlier in the year than ever before, with temperatures expected to peak Saturday. Scientists say that periods of intense heat are becoming more frequent and longer lasting as a result of global warming. Well, that's good because the winter is becoming less cold then. I hate the cold. I can tolerate the warmth, but I hate the cold. Spain, Italy, and the UK are also experiencing high temperatures. Do I have subscribers in the UK? How do you guys cope? Are there a lot of showers there, you call them, right? Rain? In Gironde, officials say that public events, including some of the official 18th of June resistance celebrations, will be prohibited. Okay, so there were some events, I guess. But I don't think that you're going to have the targeted demographic for falling under a heat stroke going to these events. Like, it's not going to be the elderly that go there. Indoor events at venues without air conditioning also banned. Private celebrations such as weddings will be allowed. Oh, wow, thank you, government. What would we do without the government? Everyone now faces a health risk. Well, I kind of doubt that it's everyone, right? Like, there is a target audience for this type of thing. Usually elderly people, people with heart issues. It's not like everyone, okay? Like, you're not going to see 14-year-old kids dropping down because of, oh my god, it's a little bit warm outside. How do people in the desert manage, by the way? Like, how do the people in the Middle East manage to handle temperatures that are even higher than 40 degrees Celsius? We will never know. The French Interior Ministry warned people to be extremely careful and not expose themselves to the weather. This is a common sense advice, by the way. But it should be up to the individual whether or not they want to expose themselves, you would think. Like, whatever happened with people having rational thought? It's like, okay, it's a little bit too warm outside. I'm going to stay in. Or if you do go out, well, that's on you, baby. That's your decision. You chose to go out. No, like, we need to take all the choice away from people because the government knows better. Again, like, this is not necessarily a problem, but I just don't want it to escalate. Like, I wouldn't want to see next year going, it's like, okay, well, private gatherings are now banned. Because they're going to do this. If people put up with this shit, then they why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? The same principle applies, right? Is to protect people. Who can protect you better than the government? Can you protect yourself? No. Can your parents protect you? No. The government. The only people that can protect you. Your parents can only protect you if they get a job at the government. Then they can protect you. Until then, they can't. State forecaster Meteo France said it was the earliest hot spell ever to hit the country, which was caused by a mass of hot air moving from North Africa. Yeah, how do the people in North Africa cope with this shit? How do they manage? Temperatures could hit 39 degrees in Paris, and droughts have also raised the risk of wildfires. I'm 86-year-old. I was born here. But I think this is the worst heat wave I've ever seen. I also see like the worst winter 10 years ago. No one interviewed me. I guess I wasn't old enough. The increase of air conditioners and fans was forcing France to import electricity from neighboring countries. Oh yeah, see, this is why air conditioning is bad. In Spain, which has just experienced its hottest May since the beginning of the century, temperatures are forecast to hit 43 degrees. There have been forest fires in Catalonia, including one which could grow to 20,000 hectares before it was contained. Water is so low in the large stretches of Italy, largest river, the PO that locals can walk through the middle of the expanse, blah blah blah, shipwrecks are resurfacing. In the UK, temperatures are expected to reach 33 degrees. Oh no! 33 degrees! I think yesterday it was 35 here. Extreme heat isn't confined in Europe. On Wednesday, a third of the entire population of the United States were advised to stay indoors. Yeah, it's interesting how other nations that aren't fascistic just advise people to stay indoors, right? Like, they don't force people to stay indoors. There's a difference. There's a difference between telling people, hey, can you please stay inside, versus, hey, you're not allowed to go outside. Climate change is causing global temperature and gases, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know what else climate change is doing? Gas shortages. Like, I'm still curious, what are we going to do this winter? I'm here in Eastern Europe, not dealing with the worst heat wave, but we are dealing with the possibility of freezing our asses in the winter. Like, if people can't afford to heat their homes, what are they going to do? Because during the heat, you can stay inside. During the cold, what the fuck are you doing? So that's an answer that I'm also curious to ask. By the way, regarding this, again, my problem isn't that France is telling people to stay, to not organize public events. The problem is that I'm curious if next year they're not going to say, okay, well, private events are also banned. Like, maybe they're just tasting the waters down, right? They're just trying to see how much shit can people put up with. I am so glad I moved outside the city. Holy crap. Like, if they do something like this in Romania, I can still walk out. I mean, I got like a huge private area. Got a private neighborhood where I can take for a stroll and whatnot. So I don't need the government to tell me what to do, because I'm not going to go out if there's 40 degrees outside. But at the same time, if the government tells me no, then I do want to go outside, just because. And by the way, like, how are the people enforcing this curfew? Also curious, right? Like, the police officers, don't they have to go outside? Are they dispensable? I see. Let me know what you guys think, though. I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.